Hi, this is Walt Mossberg, personal technology columnist for the Wall Street Journal. And today I want to talk to you about a familiar but unusual device. It's a BlackBerry, no big deal there, but this is the first BlackBerry ever made without a physical keyboard. It goes on sale Friday from Verizon Wireless for $250, but there's a mail-in rebate that brings it down to $200 with a 2-year contract. Now this BlackBerry is aimed squarely at competing with the Apple iPhone, which runs on the AT&T network, and that's why it has no physical keyboard. It is a touchscreen phone, and as you can see, it has a much larger screen than the typical BlackBerry because you don't have to leave all that room for the keyboard. But there's something a little different about this BlackBerry's touchscreen, different from the iPhones, different from the Google G1 phone and some of the other phones that have come out with touch screens. This touchscreen gives you actual physical feedback when you touch an icon or you touch a key on the virtual keypad. And that physical feedback isn't done electronically. This entire screen, this entire display is a giant button that's mounted on a mechanical substructure so that whenever you press down on an icon or a key on the virtual keypad, you get feedback. Now, RIM, the company that makes BlackBerry, is hoping that that will make typing and tapping on glass more normal and easier for people that are used to physical buttons and physical keys on a keypad. I've been testing this phone for a number of days now, and my judgment is that this Sure Press display, which is what they call it, isn't really good enough to make this thing feel like you're typing on a physical keyboard, but it does give you a much more certain feeling and confidence that you've hit the right key or that you've hit the right icon than, say, the iPhone, where your only feedback is visual. Let me show you how this works, both in terms of navigating and in terms of typing. If you're navigating, you just lightly put your finger over the icon you want. In this case, it's Maps, and then you push down hard. You get that feedback from the keyboard, and the application opens. There are 2 touch motions involved in this. One is a light touch, like on the iPhone or other touch screens. You just put your finger over it, and as you can see, the icon gets highlighted. But in order to really engage it, you have to push down. You have to actually push down kind of hard, and then you get into, in this case, the familiar RIM email program. If you wanted to open an email, once again, same thing. You select it with your finger with a light touch, and then you press down hard, and the email opens. In most other respects, this is a standard BlackBerry. People who are used to BlackBerries will notice the menus are very similar, the functions are very similar, the email program is pretty much the same that you're used to. It does work with corporate email as well as personal email. But of course, they've had to rewrite some of the user interface to accommodate the touch screen. And so it does take some adjustment. Typing takes some adjustment, and so does navigating on the phone. Now, compared to the iPhone, there are a number of weaknesses, but also a number of strengths. One of the big strengths here is it has better battery life. In my battery tests, I got a little over 6 hours of talk time on this new BlackBerry Storm, whereas the iPhone and the Google G1 phone, I got a little less than their claim of 5 hours. So that's a significant advantage for this new BlackBerry Storm. The screen is a little bit smaller than the iPhone, but it's higher resolution, and that's another nice advantage. One big disadvantage is it's bigger, thicker, that is, significantly thicker, and it's also significantly heavier than the iPhone. And another, I think, really big disadvantage is it does not have Wi-Fi. Now, the Verizon network on which it runs is pretty fast. It's pretty widespread around the country, and that's an advantage. But if you're someplace without good Verizon data coverage, or where the coverage is very slow, you cannot fall back on a public Wi-Fi network in an airport or a hotel or a Starbucks the way you can with the iPhone or the Google phone. And that, in many cases, will mean that this is going to be slower at surfing the web, in those circumstances at least, than an iPhone or a Google phone. For instance, I tested it at 2 hotels in Silicon Valley. In the first hotel, which had great Verizon coverage, this BlackBerry storm crushed the iPhone over the cell phone data network. It was something like 200 kilobits a second faster than the iPhone running over AT&T. But when I switched the iPhone to Wi-Fi, which this can't do, the iPhone was faster. In a second hotel where there was really bad Verizon coverage, this thing really crawled. It didn't even quite get up to 100 kilobits a second, which is terrible. The iPhone on AT&T did about 4 times as well, and on Wi-Fi it did 7 times as well. So not having Wi-Fi is a big drawback to this device. All in all, I would say if you're a BlackBerry lover and you've been pining for a touchscreen phone with a big display, or if you really prefer the Verizon network to AT&T, this may be a better bet for you than an iPhone. And in general for consumers, it's great that we have another choice in this new handheld computer category, this super smartphone category that the iPhone kicked off and which RIM is now joining. This is Walt Mossberg, personal technology columnist for the Wall Street Journal.